Hello and thank you for signing in again for one of our Total Success training videos. My name's Warren Wint. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a subject which is close to my heart. Being an ex-sales director, performance management is something which, for anybody who has to manage a group of people to achieve an objective, then you are a performance manager. Whether you're a team of 2, whether you're a team of 5,000, you have to get that team working through. You might think, well, what is performance management? We'll talk about that as we go through the day. We'll talk about how you can manage your team effectively. If you are a Premier League football manager and you have to get your team to win on Saturday, either to stay in the European Championship playoffs, stay in the league, don't get relegated, and you have to make sure your team perform to the best of their ability, to perform so that they are able to get the points to achieve the objectives you're looking for. And it really is about getting objectives. Now, our videos and our webinars, if you sign into Total Success Training, give you lots of information about areas of management, leadership, and this is one of the areas which, as a sales director, ex-sales director, was something which was always on the fore of what we had to be able to do to be able to get our teams to perform effectively. Now, every good performance starts with a set of objectives, and in this seminar we have some objectives as well. Ours are to allow you to understand the essentials of good performance management. Simple objective it is, but if you think about it, what is it all about? Now, there are a number of questions you need to think about in relation to performance management. What is it? How do we manage performance effectively? i.e., how do we ensure that we get our teams working to the best possible areas of quality, quantity, standards, so that we're able to manage those areas effectively ourselves? And we're working with people. And the thing is, when we're working with people, we have to be able to think about, well, how do we get people, how do we motivate them? Now, I've been running training seminars for 30 years. And one of the major things that come up on our leadership seminars is, how do I motivate my team to perform to the right standards? Well, performance management issues are some part of that. But you have to be able to think about it from the perspective of, well, what do you do to get people to perform? Now, I'm going to show you a little story. There was a very famous experiment by a psychologist called Bandura, and he was working with Olympic cyclists. And what he did was he split them into 4 groups. Now, the groups that he had, one was set performance but had no feedback. So he set performance goals, no feedback whatsoever. They were cyclists, they were good standards, so they were working through. He had a second group which received feedback but weren't set any goals. So what you've got there is you've got people who are given feedback but no setting of goals, no performance goals. He had a third group that had both feedback and goals, and as a sample group, group 4, had neither. So no performance, no goals, no objectives, no feedback. They just got on with it, basically. Now, which one do you think performed the best out of the lot? Which one do you think performed the worst out of the lot? Well, it's not hard to think about that in relation to this. Now, in Group 1, their performance increased by 20%. In Group 2, their performance increased by 20%. So, setting goals with no feedback, setting feedback, giving feedback with no goals, obviously increased performance. The group that had feedback and performance, their performance increased by a massive 40%. So what happened to the final group? Well, only a 5% increase. So you can see that there are various things that we need to be able to do to be able to get the best out of our people. And managing performance is important. There are benefits to everybody in relation to performance management. From a manager's point of view, there are a number of benefits. It helps the team to set team and individual objectives. How well they're being attained. Who should be promoted? Who should be transferred? Who should be considered for any advancement? Who needs training? Of what sort? What tasks are actually being done well? Now, that's a good question. What tasks in your team are being done well? Now, to get that done up to a certain standard, you need to be able to work with a team. So you need to understand the needs of employees. And good performance management structures allow you to be able to understand those. So from a manager's point of view, there's loads of benefits. But there's also loads of benefits from the employee's point of view. It could be an opportunity to discuss performance with the management, with you. And understanding what's expected of them from the management, i.e. again from you. Assessment of their value to the organisation, to the department. If you don't have one-to-ones, if you don't talk to your people regularly, how do I know how well I'm doing as a member of a team? How do I know I'm valued? If the only time I ever have a conversation with my manager is when something's gone wrong, then there's something wrong with the management structure. A way of clarifying the job. Jobs change, duties will change, priorities will change. So again, clarifying that. A way of a career development exercise. You're probably working with people who are very career orientated, want to develop their skills. So it gives them a chance to be able to focus on that, and the only benefit from that will be you and your department. And a way of assessing career and other wishes and needs, and how the organisation, your organisation, can provide them as well. There are many, many benefits both for the manager and the employee. But let's put it this way, not everybody feels comfortable with the performance management process. Some of the pitfalls that it can have could be what we call a dislike of an interview situation, i.e. some people don't like sitting down, talking to people and reviewing their performance. Especially if you're not in an office, it can be difficult if you don't have the premises, the circumstances to be able to do that. A lot of people don't like doing it because it takes time to prepare. And that's an excuse I hear a lot when I'm doing internal courses. We don't have time to do this. Well, can I just say, you all want performance, so one of the key things about getting performance is putting the time in to do that. There may be a confrontational nature of the meeting, i.e. especially if the employee is substandard and you might think it's better to leave it alone rather than manage their performance. Well, can I just say, avoiding a problem is not a way of managing the problem. Not knowing how to structure an interview. And the last one is thinking you can't make accurate assessments of people. Now that is down to good management. It's not the people you are making an assessment of, it's what that person brings to the job. And this is the essence of performance. What is it? Now there are two areas of performance you have to think about. There's what we call the quantitative, what you can measure, and the qualitative. Quantitative is what you can measure, what you can see. Qualitatives are the behaviours that somebody brings to the job. You can't separate out the two, but you need to be able to manage both separately. Now let's look at what we call quantitative criteria. Because if you want to know what it is, i.e. anything you can see or manage is what we call quantitative criteria. If you think about your team and its performance, now, are you judged by the volume of your output? If you work in a factory, that might be the case. The speed of your output, again, you may be judged on the speed of through flow of process, products. Are you there for production deadlines? Are you there to manage deadlines so that they are met? Do you have what we call direct financial indices? If you're in sales, you might have sales volume or profit, so you may be looking after the actual money side of it. Do you have what we call direct quantitative measures? Something you can see, something you can measure, which is measured by data, where you get reports back from. Do you have quality factors, time factors? Now these are all what we call quantitative. I used to be ex-sales, and in a sales environment I would have a sales target to hit, but also have account growth to hit. I would have production targets to hit. I have quality paperwork targets to hit. These all marked my performance. If I was hitting all of those performance measures, then I was hitting my targets and doing well. If any of those were missing, then obviously my manager would step in and say, what's happening here? Now, as a managing director, exactly what you do as well. Now, you could be managing a garage which does car repairs. Your employees need to be able to fix cars. So they need to have the technical knowledge. They're able to fix cars accurately. So they need to be able to have not just technical knowledge, but to put it into action. They need to be able to do it to a speed so that you're not having clogged up with lots of cars in there. So again, we're talking about things that you can see, you can measure. That's what we call quantitative performance. But there's another factor there we mentioned before, qualitative performance. And those are what we call behaviours. Those are the behaviours people use to drive what they do to make sure that you hit performance. Now, it could be working as a team, communicating, letting people know what they can do, what's happening, where they are. Creative input, i.e. if you are working in a design factory, you'll need to be able to get people to be creatively design. It could be organisational skills, so they know what their priorities are. They manage their time, they do to-do lists, they do schedules. It could be attention to detail, i.e. you may work in a finance office where making sure the numbers add up at the end of every day, every week, every month is important. Problem solving, decision making, communication, just like let's put it down to the last one in terms of a behaviour. Hard working, i.e. the person gets to work on time, puts in their share of the work and actually produces it before they go home. Now these are what we call behavioural skills. Now if we look at the previous slide where we have quantitative skills, these are what volume, output. But without the qualitative skills, these drive the quantitative. You cannot have the two separate because one drives the other. One is one you can measure, the other one is one which actually makes sure that you hit the targets you want. But you have to be able to look at both, and you have to be able to manage both. And sometimes you have to separate them out so that you're managing it. Now, if you've got somebody coming in for a performance meeting, you've got to know what the performance is. But you've also got to know what they do within that time period of review to sort of produce that. And a performance meeting, a performance management meeting will cover a number of factors. And these are the factors you have to think about. One, review of previous results. Now, if you have these meetings once a month, once a week, once a quarter, then you'll obviously have set results from the last meeting. It could be a follow-up from an appraisal, could be just a project that's working through, but you'll always review the results. From those results, you set future objectives, i.e. what will that person be doing over the next week, the next month, so that they're clear about what is the difference. Now, the thing is, clarity of objectives is important. There was a research done by the University of Arkansas which determined that there was a 25% difference between what management felt were objectives and priorities and what the team member felt were. And that's down to basic lack of communication, and that's where performance management can fill in that gap. Agree priorities. You've got to agree the priorities so that you know what you're doing, and then last one is to follow up. Without effective follow-up, then the whole thing just falls down. So these four factors make up a very, very effective and successful performance management review. Now, thank you for listening for this. This is part one. We are going to do some more of these in terms of leadership and performance management, and tune in to Total Success, www.totalsuccess.co.uk, where you'll see lots more videos, lots more webinars, lots of information in terms of leadership and management. Thank you for listening, and have a very good performance management meeting.